We don't know who will walk away with the 2025 FCIAC championship, but we do know a winner will be crowned here at Tom Fujitani Field on the campus of Wilton High School for the 2025 Boys FCIAC Lacrosse Championship between the New Canaan Rams and the Ridgefield Tigers, the two last surviving teams in the FCIAC up to this point. Before we get there, myself, John Fruiter, joined alongside PJ Neville, Tommy Fox, and we'll take a quick look at the way that these teams got there, because both teams have different paths, but both teams ended up at the same place. Tommy, we'll start with Ridgefield. They've definitely had an interesting postseason. They've made it to this point, and they did take down the number 2 team in the FCIAC.
Yeah, Ridgefield is a team that'll outlast you, especially in this tournament. They took 3 overtimes to outlast Wilton in the quarterfinals, and it only took them 3 quarters to outlast Staples, so they can wear a team down.
Talking about overtimes, PJ, one of the most exciting games of the entire season, really in the entire FCIAC, New Canaan, Darien. Talk to me about that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal game. I'm sure everyone saw Gray Wildman, the double OT game winner. It was a phenomenal play, and Wildman, just a freshman. He's played this well all season. That was actually his second double overtime game winner, and, he's lived up to the task so far. And, it's only a matter of time before he, plays just like that every single game.
See, one of the greatest traditions in lacrosse. Both opposing teams line up, goalies touch gloves, then each player touches gloves with the guy lined up across from them. See New Canaan in those white jerseys, the home jerseys, the number 1 seed in the FCIAC tournament. Right now, 17-1, 4-1 in the FCIAC. They did beat Ridgefield earlier this season. Ridgefield, on the other hand, in those black jerseys with the orange lettering right now, sitting at 15-3, looking to make it 16-3. This is going to be a dogfight here live on NCTV 78. Thank you for joining us. 2 of the best teams, the 2 remaining teams in the FCIAC, New Canaan and Ridgefield, ready to do battle. A little quick history lesson as you see the 2 guys facing up, lining up against each other. JT O'Neill, the Colby commit, as well as Brandon Penn, the Hobart commit. 2 of the best face-off guys, not just the FCIAC, in the entire state. First face-off goes to Ridgefield. Penn snoops, clamps, and steals that one away from O'Neill. He immediately takes the ball into the offensive zone. He's got the tough matchup of Will Hayes. Will Hayes, an All-American last season, maybe an All-American this year. Denver commit, one of the leading guys on this New Canaan Rams defense. That PJ, this Rams defense has been special this season.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about one of the best defenses in the country. They've got 4 Division I commits playing pole, and then you get Ryan Leahy as well, who can definitely play. He had offers, decided not to take them, we're not even mentioning the short sticks or the goalies, who the short sticks probably, I think, the best short stick defensive midfield room in the FCIAC, in probably the entire state, if I had to be honest.
Shot early, and a score. Tigers grab the first goal from the stick of Gemlin. Brandon Gemlin, the senior, able to net the first one. Tigers up 1-0.
Yeah, that's a surprise early on. This Ridgefield team is one that'll run through its attackman we saw. And Gemlin, he's a 2-way guy. He'll play short stick D midi. He gets out there with the dodge early on. Righty bouncer on the run. That's a great shot to get the Tigers going.
Yeah, you could tell that Ridgefield, they saw the matchup. JT O'Neill got stuck out there after the face-off, and they decided to take that all the way. O'Neill, he wasn't able to get off the field, and that's what happens when your Fogo gets stuck.
We talked a lot about goalie play. Goalie play is so important in those semifinals. You look at that New Canaan Darien game, a very low-scoring affair. New Canaan 7-6 over the Blue Wave. And then in the other semifinal, although the score was 11-9, there were tons of SportsCenter top 10 worthy saves between both goalies, Josh Marcus and then Dylan Penn, also committed to Hobart, just like his brother. Dylan Penn, one of the top goalies in the FCIAC as well. Goaltending going to be important, as well as inside the faceoff dot, as Ridgefield's 2-0 right now.
Yeah, and if this game gets as high scoring as that Ridgefield Staples one, it's going to be in Ridgefield's favor. Their offense can definitely play with the best of them. But if this one stays low, it's more in New Canaan's favor. Their defense is phenomenal in the clutch, and their offense can get it done when they need it most.
Kristen up top has Schwartz on his hip, far side, decides to spin it back to Curry. Curry had a goal in that semifinal against Staples. A come-from-behind victory for both teams. Ridgefield able to rattle off 4 consecutive goals after being down 8-7, eventually taking that one. But they the beginning part of that game back and forth, goal after goal, each team showing fight. And both semifinals, really much to watch, great matchups. Colsey, another guy who had one of the rising stars for this Ridgefield team, coming from a family that's known for lacrosse.
Yeah, it's in his DNA, and he's a guy, he doesn't like to use his offhand, but every team could use a big lefty shooter like him.
Pass inside, met with physicality from Will Sullivan, the senior, pushing. Ball will retain in the hands of the Tigers. Near side is one. One moving down towards X with Sully in front. One looking, surveying, continues to move the ball around. Tigers offense patient. Curry to Colsey. Colsey, wing dodger, likes to shoot the ball, kind of similar to a guy like Cole Campese for the Rams. Colsey up high with the matchup on Hayes, and you talk about the versatility of this Rams defense, PJ. This Rams defense really, there's not one good favorable matchup for most teams. It's a lot of switching, and New Canaan has the luxury of being able to switch consistently.
Yeah, and Ridgefield, they really like to go in that invert and take those short stick D-mids to X. So, New Canaan with that ability to switch, and they're really good at sliding from the crease. The two slide, some games it isn't there as much as it is in others, but that ability to slide from the crease and get a lot of pressure early is what makes this New Canaan defense special and what's helped them so far, especially in that last game against Ridgefield.
Kristen turns the corner, shoots, and scores. 2-0 Ridgefield early on.
Yeah, they've come flying out of the gate. Kristen, the guy that didn't really participate much in the scoring last time we were out here, but they've been dangerous from coming behind from X right around that crease. They dominated Staples in that aspect and up too early.
Big early lead for the Tigers, although it's just 2. You see here, able to get really whatever he wanted once he turned the corner, put it right past the stick of Cam Lyden for the second goal of the day. The Tigers bench also loving it. You see the bench celebration. It's the FCIAC championship. People still coming in early in this one. Crowd will definitely be a factor.
Yeah, and you could see on that last goal, the slide just didn't come from New Canaan. Bryce Lyden, you could tell he was thinking about it, but he decided to fall off, and that's what happens when the slide doesn't come, and the shorty coming behind from X on another shorty. Schwartz couldn't get enough pressure, and now it's 2-0 Tigers.
O'Neal able to scoop up the ground ball, followed by a timeout by head coach Chip Buzzio. New Canaan down 2-0 early on. Our apologies for the scoreboard right now. Some of the technical difficulties we've had, but you mentioned now New Canaan in a bit of a hole, going back to the drawing board, coming out a little bit nervous, and I think a part of this game early on is settling down those nerves. Of course, you're playing for a championship. You look for that, just settling things down. Here's a good defensive play in front, and that physicality is so important early on.
Yeah, one of my notes here for New Canaan, how to win this game, is they can't give Ridgefield juice. You don't want to allow juice goals, and so far they're down 2, and that's really what kept Darien in the game. Their bench was so active. Their team just had a lot of energy to them, and that kind of allowed that game to be extended in the way. So New Canaan needs to get on the scoreboard here, and they need to get back in their favor with the energy.
New Canaan able to grab a face-off, their first, now 1 for 3 on the day, and those were 2 early possessions for Ridgefield, and the Tigers cashed in quickly now, find themselves up 2-0. But as we've seen in all these games so far in this tournament, this game far from over, tons of time left. Guy holding the stick right now, the proclaimed hero in that last game for the Ram. PJ, you talked about him in the open. Gray Wildman, just a freshman, looking to maybe make that all-state team as a freshman.
Yeah, Wildman, he has the potential to make all FCIAC for the Rams. He's definitely been a huge contributor on their offense, as the Rams also get another one back. Henry Laddick, he's back in the lineup today. He was out with a concussion in the last one. So, as much as the eyes are on Wildman, they're as much on Laddick now as well.
The shot and score down low. Maddie Reed working it. We'll see the referees having a quick discussion. And it is a good goal. Rams able to tack on one from the stick of Maddie Reed, getting down and dirty, putting the ball past Penn for the first one.
Yeah, this New Canaan offense last time out had their way with this Ridgefield defense. Penn, he did all his best, but it just wasn't enough. This Ridgefield defense, they've got some good pulls. Kirchner's phenomenal, but they've got some guys that they kind of have to hide in their defense as well. So New Canaan, they're really good at picking them out. I mean, Coach Harvey. He was all these guys' coach just last year, so Coach Harvey, as much as he's the defensive coach for the Rams, he could also become the offensive coach for them today as well.
He was pushed in from behind. Officials said that he was pushed in the back, allowing him to land in the crease. O'Neal wins a faceoff. Coming downhill is the Rams offense. Pass over to Laddick. But he has that ball checked free from his stick by John Kirchner. Now ball in the hands of Penn. Penn looking for a pass to a defender. New Canaan always aggressive on the ride. One of the things they're known for, Wildman, Reed get aggressive. And seen a few times this season where they check the ball free from the goalie and able to have an open net goal.
Corey's got to move it here. He's in a lot of trouble on this clear.
Swarmed by New Canaan defenders. Ball pops free up high to Hayes, who then turns the ball over once again. Back to the Tigers. Ground ball scooped up. And a timeout by head coach Goldman, settling things down up 2-1 after allowing Bunn, but that, just a possession timeout right there, able to scoop up the ground ball, settle things down, go to the huddle, and draw up a play.
Yeah, definitely a smart one there. I wasn't sure if the referees were going to award Ridgefield a fresh 10, 20 seconds on that clear. So it's smart to just get them settled here offensively. They've had good reps so far, and just maybe a better clearing strategy going forward.
Things still early, 7:23 remaining. Ridgefield up 2-1. You see New Canaan in that huddle, talking offensive strategy, and definitely helps when you can win the faceoffs. We saw in that New Canaan-Darien game. Darien did hang around, but JT O'Neal dominant inside the faceoff circle, and on the other side too, Brandon Penn was very, very good inside the faceoff circle, and that's what granted possession, and that's what helped both teams get back in the game. Remember New Canaan down 3-0 early to Darien, had to claw their way back.
Yeah, definitely the faceoff plays a tremendous factor in all these games, especially in the FCIAC when you have a good guy. And Penn, he struggled early on in that Staples game, and they really couldn't pull away from the Wreckers for very long. But once he started to get into his zone, you'll see him out there top of your screen getting the ball. He'll come back on and play a little bit offensive midi.
Ridgefield will have possession far side. Ball will start in the stick of Penn. Fogo, who also spends some time on attack. Normally see a lot of Fogo guys come off immediately after winning the faceoff, but Penn has stayed on. We've seen it consistently as he moves down low, far side in the corner.
Yeah, and the one problem with that, John, is that he's going to get so tired later on in the game. I mean, we saw in that original game, he was phenomenal right off the bat, but JT O'Neal eventually on the faceoff, he started winning more and more and more as the quarters went on because Penn, he was just so exhausted because he's running up and down the field. He's also playing defense half the time, so it's really tough for a guy to do that and then come out there and try and take back possession for your team as well.
Colsey's pass to Penn. Penn up high. He has a short stick matchup with Mazza. Cradling in his left, looking for the shot. He shoots, saved by Leiden. Ground ball scooped by Hayes, and clears so important. New Canaan trying to clear the ball, immediately feeding the ball back to Cam Leiden. Cam Leiden, the Michigan commit. He's earned his stripes, although you only will see him for a half. He splits time with Jack Kroll. Jack Kroll, one of the top recruits in the class of 2027. It's rare you see a team with two very good goalies and both splitting time, but that's what New Canaan has done, and that's been their recipe for success. New Canaan in the offensive zone now. Laddick behind, mentioned missed last game. Only senior on this attack core. Ronan Hillman, the other guy who spends a lot of time, but on that man-up unit. See ball sliding. Penn able to gain possession, gain control. But Laddick, a very young offense, but a very veteran and experienced defense. Here's Ridgefield in transition. Ball pass, shot, and scores.
Yeah, when we say this offense runs through the attackman, that's exactly what we mean. Jake Carney, he's one of the best shooters on this team, but he's also a great passer. Got eyes up on the clear, passes it down to Levi Kessler. He had a hat trick against Staples. He gets right back to it with a jump shot from right on that crease.
See nothing New Canaan's defense could do. Not enough time to settle. Beautiful feed down low from Carney to Kessler. Kessler puts that one in the back of the net. But talk about Carney, his big frame. We saw him score a couple of goals last game, but also his ability to facilitate the offense, use his size, and become a presence not just for the fact that he can put the ball in the back of the net, but also because he can spread out the offense, really settle things down, and be a contributor, more of a facilitator.
Yeah, he's a real physical guy. They're going to love him at Sacred Heart.
Another face-off. Tigers up 3-1. JT O'Neill wins the face-off for the Rams, moving down looking for the pass. He'll feed it to Wildman. Wildman up top. O'Neill comes off. Schwartz coming off for a substitution. Campese enters the zone.
And just on that last possession, I want to highlight kind of a change for Ridgefield. We saw early on Reed crease dive type play. The second time he tried that, they had to slide on the crease and matched him with the body on his shoulders, and that was where that turnover came from for Ridgefield.
Roeder looking for a shot, trying to body his way inside, feeds to X. Reed has the long pull matchup of Garosa on him. Reed feeds to Campese. Campese switching hands, has the ball checked free, able to retain possession. Pass inside to Wildman. Wildman somehow comes up, able to get a shot, which is high and wide. Zabras will come up, will retain possession.
Yeah, great awareness and quick feet from Wildman there. He was able to hitch, get the defender right off him. He was staring him square in the face. Wildman, he was able to get away from him, get a good shot off. It eventually didn't fall, but it was a good look.
I just want to highlight how these Ridgefield defenders are playing right now. That is 3 straight checks we've seen put the ball on the ground, and now they're on the clear again.
That is a big check. Now Tigers able to move into the offensive zone. Curry far side, settling things down, but a big defensive stop. We talked about New Canaan's defense. Maybe we didn't give the Tigers defense enough credit. Really playing well early on in this first quarter. Able to check the ball free a couple of times, always remain a physical presence, and always make sure that those New Canaan players know they're right next to them.
Yeah, the Tigers have been in the film room. They've got Kirchner guarding Wildman right now, and you can see they kind of allow him to get a step, but they're always hunting for that trail check, which normally isn't something you want to do, but so far they've been catching the hanging sticks.
Kristen, short stick on him. Dumps it off to his teammate, then pass down low. A cutting Kessler looking to maybe catch the pass, turn the corner, and burn and fire. Could not catch the pass. So New Canaan will be forced to come up with the ball in the stick of Leiden.
Yeah, and Ridgefield, you see them in the drop right here, but they're really letting those two guys on the wings of the goalie get loose. They're really playing them out over the midline, and that's what allowed New Canaan to get 3 pole goals against them last time. It was Roby with 2 and Hayes with 1, and that was just because of the transition game, and the Rams, they were able to take it over the midline because of this Ridgefield drop clear, or ride, sorry.
Last time New Canaan matched up with Ridgefield, New Canaan came out on top 15-9. You mentioned PJ, all-around performance on senior night. It wasn't just Campese, Wildman, Roeder. It was also the poles, which you alluded to. Makes an offense really hard to stop. A spinning shot wide right by Curry.
Yeah, Curry's got to have that in his left hand there, doing too much, kind of trying to spin around to keep it in his right. But on that clear, it was offsides on New Canaan as they tried to clear, because instead of going to the far side, the goalie switched it up to the box side clear man, and they had just too many guys over the midline.
See a matchup to watch too, Leiden and Kearney. The switch now, pass inside, tic-tac-toe play, Tigers net another one from the stick of Kessler.
It's Kearney again. Just as you mentioned him, you saw he was sitting behind at X, but he had his eyes up, and Kessler's always cutting. That's why he's been so valuable in this attack unit, striking again early on.
Yeah, and just for New Canaan, I mean, it's another miscommunication. The 2-slide didn't come on the back end there, and Harden, he slid. It was a good slide, but it was just Leiden there. You see him, or Roby even on the back, who wasn't able to bring the 2, and that wound up being another Ridgefield goal right inside.
Kessler had 3 against Staples 2 early on. And part of it just comes from, smart cutting, able to find pockets of open space. And that's something that we didn't see Ridgefield do a good job of the first time these teams played. But here tonight, came in, they're playing hot right now. 2:32 remaining. Tigers up 4-1. Both teams still have a timeout. Tigers face-off win by Penn. Penn in deep, feeds up top. Back to Penn. Tigers settling things down, feeding to Kristen. We saw Kristen handle the ball from the majority of that game against Staples. Just holding the ball up high as he's near side. Colsey faces pressure up high from Hayes, spinning, looking for a shot. Continues to hunt, but he's got a tough matchup. He's gonna have to figure out how to beat the long pull of Hayes. Far side is Curry. Curry, favorable matchup, moving to the right and feeds off to Colsey. Colsey allowed a little bit of space as he walks up. And moving down far side. In the end zone is Lund at X. He dodges, feeds to Kristen. Now Kristen takes the place of Lund behind the cage.
Watch how the Rams are really sliding to the guy at X. They're always having a pullback there. They're having Roby switch with the shorties just so they can get a good matchup from behind because they've had so much trouble early on. Here's another switch right there.
The BU commit switches once again. Shot attempt almost from the far side.
Great
Ground
closeout
ball
by
picked
Leahy
up.
there. You know, he recognized the hitch and he was able to get there in time to create the turnover, and then Roby aggressive with the double team, and that created the turnover.
Near side Leiden. You see Leiden often like to run, exactly what he's doing. So he's put on pause, dumps to Campese. He gets off with a substitution. Campese far side looking to shoot. Clicks the pause button.
Bit of a mismatch here. They've got Corey stuck on defense after an offensive possession. He's got to be tired and going against Campese.
Up top, Campese
Nice
dodging.
stick.
Looking for the pass to Wildman, but good check from the Tigers. Shot by Wildman out deep. Saved by Penn. Maybe more of a momentum save for Penn too, out far. Shot by Wildman. Tigers in the first quarter up 4-1. And boys, we're in for a good one. Tigers up 4-1 right now. Both teams will go make some adjustments, and these are the most important adjustments, right?
Yeah, early on, it was one of my keys that I said was New Canaan's got to control the energy of this game, and so far they're in a bad spot. Their goalie Leiden hasn't been seeing the ball too well, and neither was Penn to start the game, but like you said, that's a juice save right at the end, so he can get one save in his pocket and kind of offset that goal from early on.
Those are the ones that the goalies want to gobble up, take with them. You see showing a few of the goals. A shot, good spinorama, just high and wide. Working down low here was Gemwin, able to beat his defender, then feed to Carney, who passes it right to the middle. Beautiful ball movement put in the back of the net by Kessler. Here's Kessler feeding up high to Corey. Good defense by the Rams. Also, PJ, we'll talk about that Rams huddle right now, down 4-1. Of course, everyone remembers what happened last year in the semifinals where they came out a little bit slow against Staples, could not recover, and I'm sure that might be in the back of some of these players' heads. But where are you at if you're Coach Buzzio in the timeout right now? You see not two separate timeouts, but a whole team huddle.
Yeah, well, this game is very different from that game against Staples last year. I mean, you know, New Canaan came out and let up, I think, 5 goals probably within the first 5 minutes. They were down 10-0 early on. And, you know, this isn't unfamiliar territory for New Canaan. Just last game, they were down 3 goals in the first half. It's how you respond and how you come back. And for New Canaan, it's really, you just got to get possession. You got to settle it down. I haven't even seen Henry Laddick touch the ball so far this game. And I understand that he's still coming back from an injury, but you got to get your star the ball, you know. Even though Wildman's been playing phenomenal, they got a great matchup in Kirshner on him. So it's going to have to go to guys like Laddick and to Matt Reed, who can play and, you know, have good matchups that you could utilize.
O'Neal cleanly wins the first faceoff of the second quarter. Rams granted an offensive possession, maybe an opportunity to build a bit of momentum. And we saw in that semifinal too, and throughout the season, once the Rams get one, They get the crowd into it, get people involved, get the energy from the bench, and usually able to net a few. And a big part of this game is going to be momentum and responding to difficult situations. Both of these teams battle tested, of course, when you play in the FCIAC, and then when you play around here, you played a lot of out-of-state teams, and of course, both these teams playing a lot of top 20 teams in the country. Darien, New Canaan, Staples, Ridgefield all top. They play each other. Also have a lot of matchups with Brunswick and Don Bosco, out-of-state teams.
Yeah, the bottom line is it's hard to beat the same team twice. And we saw Staples try to do that with Ridgefield last time, and they couldn't. Luckily for New Canaan, they were able to do it with Darien to get to this point, but it's going to take a lot more than it took back in May.
Up top, Rams offense settling things down. Wildman to Reed, both two blossoming stars on this Rams offense. Underclassmen, shot by Reed, saved by Penn.
Yeah, and I don't mind that look from Reed. He was trying to go to the 5-hole of Penn, and in close, that's a really hard reaction save to make for a goalie. So Penn, especially a guy who's great up high like Penn is, and I think Reed maybe was trying to wrap around him, but it eventually wound up looking like the 5-hole, but unfortunately for him, it was just Penn with the good save.
Watch out here. Campisi's stuck on defense. Knowing Ridgefield, they're going to try and get him back behind and get a dodger on him.
Up top is Colsey. Colsey feeds to his pair, but you do mention Campisi stuck on defense right now. And both these
taking
teams,
him to X right now.
Both these teams do a really good job of finding out those matchups, seeing mismatches, and Ridgefield definitely has a favorable matchup right now. Penn on Campisi, far side shot, and saved by Leiden.
Yeah, Penn just not on the same page there. Carney was in the crease pointing back behind saying get the ball back there, but Penn kind of tunnel visioned on that dodge right there. Looks like he might try again.
Near side Penn.
Yeah, and anticipate Braden Roby to be coming extremely early here for the Rams. Yeah, you see him right there.
Immediately comes and slides back over to Kessler. Shot wide of the cage.
Yeah, and you let that shot happen if you're New Canaan. That's, Chris Colsey. He's only a sophomore. Maybe senior year Chris Colsey, that's a little bit of a different story. But from 15 yards out, that is not the best shot. And going high to high, maybe you let that one happen.
Ripped by Carney, just high above the cage. But Carney, we talked a lot about his facilitators. He's definitely not scared to shoot the ball, as we saw on that last play.
Yeah, he got the scoring started for Ridgefield in the last matchup. He shot the game winner in triple overtime against Wilton, so no stranger to big goals in big moments. And he is a big-time shooter, of course.
Penn continues to stay on in the offensive zone as the Tigers move the ball, patiently waiting for a good offensive look. Very close, defender on his right, Sullivan. Pass from the left hand to Carney. Shot saved by Leiden. Leiden gobbling up another save. Long pass on the clear, picked off by the Tigers.
Yeah, that one just fell perfectly into Kirchner's stick.
Not a successful clear if you're the Rams, giving the ball right back after a save by Leiden.
Yeah, and that is not what you want if you're New Canaan. You've been on defense, for a good majority of this game already. Your defense is tired, and when you get the ball in transition, you can't be giving it away like that. You got to be able to, just go into your normal clear. You don't need a breakout pass to Will Hayes every single time. Maybe if it's wide open, but if he's already there at the midline and you see the defender not too far away, that's probably not the best look. I would say, just feed it to the outside, hit one of those banana passes, and slowly move it up the field. You don't need to rush everything right away.
Especially down by 3, 8:29 remaining in the second quarter. No goals here in the second quarter, but a lot of offensive zone time for the Tigers. See both teams huddling up in their respective groups, offense and defense. And again, we want to thank you for watching live on NCTV 78, your coverage of both semifinals and the championship here tonight. Don't know who will be crowned, but one will be crowned the FCIAC champion. And the Tigers have been in 6 FCIAC championships. They've lost the last 4. Their first appearance was in 2008. And both these teams have met one time in the championship. And New Canaan won in 2012. New Canaan, on the other hand, seasoned veteran in this championship game, 31 appearances, and have been a dominant force in the FCIAC since the program was founded.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these early years, it was Wilton and New Canaan just back and forth, probably all the way through about the end of the 80s. Then Darien started to becoming a factor in the league as well, but not as big as New Canaan or Wilton until probably about late 90s, early 2000s, when that's when the FCIAC started to open up, and there was really, you know, 6 teams that could win it any year.
Yeah, the longest time it was Wilton, New Canaan 1A, 1B. Darien lately made a case to be that 1C in this conversation. And Ridgefield definitely not a stranger to it, but not as much experience as the other head coaches of the FCIAC.
Penn continues to attack, feeds to Colsley, who winds up, shoots wide, high, and to the left. Colsley just feeling the need to let one loose. I'm sure a lot of these guys feeling that need that extra amplification in a championship game.
Sometimes you just need your shooter to get hot, and if it takes missing a couple shots, as long as you back them up in their possession shots, any coach is okay with that, especially with the potential that Colsley has.
Penn shot blocked by Leiden, careens back to the Tigers, and Penn with the ball at the 10-yard line. Coming around a screen, switches hands, turns around, and feeds up top. Colsley looking for a pick, switches matchup. Had the Leahy on, feeds down to X. It's Kristen with the short stick matchup. Schwartz coming around, switching hands, far side, feeds up top. Back to Colsley. Ridgefield cycling the ball around on offense. See Penn continuing to be aggressive near side.
Yeah, if I'm head coach James Goldman, I'm going to sub Penn out here. You know, he's been running around a lot. Save him for the faceoff. Get Lund back out there to run that midi spot. We all know that he can do it. Just not really working with number 4 out there right now.
Penn looking for the screen, which is set by Carney. Then turns, shoots, and scores!
Never mind. Never mind. Brandon Penn shuts me up in the booth. A lefty shot off the roll, puts it low and away. And the Tigers up 5-1.
Yeah, that's phenomenal placement, especially on the run. It looked like he was playing really slow out there, Penn, but you know, he was able to get the rollback on Sullivan just as he least expected. Sullivan, you could see, as soon as he kind of engages, he overcommits a little bit, and Penn able to get the rollback and get the pressure off his back, and you know, that's great placement. Offside, bottom corner, and not a lot of goalies are going to be saving that.
And you talk about a beauty in a possession right like that, right, where they take a couple of shots, but more importantly, they're patient, waiting for that look, you know, coming, setting a few screens that might have been unsuccessful, but retained possession, just continuing to grind out possessions makes me think back to the possession prior where they were saved by Leiden, but then immediately turned the ball over and went back into the New Canaan zone, just continuing to work that New Canaan defense, and now find themselves up 4-4. 5-1.
That's the value of having so many different shooters in this offense, because you saw that defense for New Canaan. The reason why they had such trouble and why Penn was wide open running down the left hash was because they respected everybody else too much. They were all pressing out defensively and weren't helping out. So if you have guys that can shoot it from afar, get those possession shots like Colsley was doing before, you can rotate your offense around and really get to work.
Now one is subbed on for Penn. So one will spend some time in the offensive zone for the Tigers. As the Tigers continue to cycle the ball around, face-off violation by JT O'Neill grants the Tigers another offensive possession.
Yeah, this is trouble here. Nice job by Gemlin to get out of there, but trapped in the corner for a moment.
Gemlin pushed by Hayes, continues to be aggressively checked. Switching, spinning, trying to find a gasp of air, feeds over, crossfield pass. A shot saved by Leiden.
Yeah, they just got sucked over defensively to the far side, and Kessler was open, but the slide came to him. He had Lund wide open on the crease, decided to take himself, and right there was Leiden.
Ball almost checked free from the stick of Roby. Immediately once Roby gets the ball past midfield, timeout by head coach Chip Buzzio. 5:24 remaining in the second quarter. Tigers able to net another one. But it's been all Tigers here early. New Canaan now no more timeouts. Coach Buzzio is sensing the urgency maybe to get a goal before goal in the next couple minutes, build some momentum, get the bench involved. I mean, this New Canaan crowd has been silent for the past couple of minutes.
And the big part of it is they're having a lot of trouble on their clears, and that's really what Ridgefield has had an effect on in all 3 games so far that we've seen them in FCIAC play. And at that point, the ball was on the ground. Roby had just kind of flung it to a guy who was going there. Just take a timeout. You don't need them going into halftime, so just get your offense out there. Let's get something going, and New Canaan can get the ball rolling.
And PJ, you've been watching this New Canaan offense all year. You've called most of their games. They're down by 4 right now, you mentioned. They did come back, and there's still tons of time left, but where are you going on an offensive possession like this? And, you know, how are you approaching an offensive possession?
You know, I would look out here and I would assess my matchups, right? You're going to see that Campese's going to get the pull, but I really like the shorties on Finn Roeder and Brady Mazabras. I would like to work with those two, or maybe even go big little behind Matt Reed. He's phenomenal with the shorty on him, so maybe you bring a guy like Mazabras behind who's a phenomenal pick setter, and, you know, work with those two behind, try and get something low, and, you know, maybe even look out on the crease if you could get a guy like Wildman or Laddick right in there.
Campese carries the ball in, shot, had a bubble of space, shoots bottom left corner wide. New Canaan will retain possession now in the stick of Laddick. You mentioned Laddick coming back from that concussion, which sidelined him in the semifinal game, but he's back and ready. A 2-sport captain, a lot of hockey guys on both these teams. Remember the FCIAC Hockey Championship where New Canaan came out on top, and came out on top last year as well. So 2 consecutive years. Ridgefield maybe looking for some revenge. Up top, Wildman spins. He has the short stick matchup, looking to attack his matchup right now. He immediately shoots high and over the head of Penn.
Yeah, good job positionally by the short stick defensive midfielder there. Sometimes, as a shorty, there's not much you can do. He made contact, forced him down the alley, and the shot missed. That's about as good as it gets.
Laddick looking for a pass inside, instead feeds to Roeder up top. Roeder's shot, a bouncer to the right of Penn. New Canaan will retain possession again, able to cycle off a few shots, a few from distance. Far side, Campese has the matchup with Chinaki. Campese up top, long pull on him. Big set by Mazabras. Campese using the screen. Mazabras pops free with his head up, looking for a pass. Campese didn't see him, feeds to Roeder. Big set by Roeder for Wildman. Wildman shot and scores!
Yeah, phenomenal on the run by Gray Wildman. He has such a great first step that he's able to get off, get quickly away from the defender, and then it's just green grass from there. Wildman on the run and, you know, putting it low against Penn. That seems like it's going to work today for the Rams, so just got to keep going back to that. And, you know, you can't take away from the screen from Finn Roeder because that was phenomenal. And you saw Kirshner, he had to go underneath the screen, which gave Wildman even more space. And, you know, trying to close out, he had to run kind of diagonal towards him. And, you know, he used all 6 feet of his stick, but the stick's not going to stop Gray Wildman.
You can just see how careful you have to be guarding a guy like Wildman, because he really did not have that much space there. It was about a second where he was able to get his hands free, shoot, and score. Rams trail by 3. Tigers back in the offensive zone thanks to the face-off win by Penn.
Yeah, that was a sigh of relief for New Canaan there, finally getting back on the board, but bit of a problem. They don't win the face-off right after, so they're going to need a defensive stand to kind of build on that.
Near side, Colsey now the matchup with Leahy, a long pole. Over to Kessler. Kessler has been on a hot streak. You mentioned 3 goals, a Hattie in the semifinal, another one here today early, and he's looking to continue to stay hot, feeding and cutting in the middle.
Yeah, he's really good from low to no angle, and so are a bunch of these guys. They'll come around the crease from X, and that's really where Ridgefield shines, is getting their stick right around the goal line and putting it in the top corner.
Tigers taking a moment to breathe. The attack, far side, shot wide left of Leiden. Thankfully, Kessler's there. A couple fist bumps in the middle.
They've got a flag down as why.
Yeah, it's going to be on Leahy. I don't know. I guess he probably hit him in the head. That's, what would be my guess after he came on the slide. But Leahy playing phenomenal today. I really like that matchup of him on Colsey. I think Leahy is a great combination of speed and strength, and he's going to be able to dominate that one.
It's a man-up opportunity for the Tigers. Leahy, a guy on the football team who was a big contributor, then comes over to the lacrosse field, and talk about the importance of having him.
Going to say it's a cross-check on Leahy.
Talk about the importance of having a guy like Leahy, right, PJ? You talk about Leiden, Roby, Hayes, all big commits, big-time commits, and you have a guy like Leahy who can come in, fill, and then basically switch on any matchup and provide some more strength to this New Canaan defense.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the best 3 pulls in the world on your team, but that doesn't really do anything if you don't have a complete lineup, if you don't have that 4th guy, and Leahy is just that. He's great with strength and with speed.
Tigers moving the ball quickly. Over up top, a touch by Kearney. They continue to cycle the shot high and wide.
That's a good job there by the Ridgefield offense. They just kept drawing and dumping, which is the bottom line for any man-up offense. Obviously looking to get Colsey a shot with his left hand.
Under 30 seconds left on the man-up. It was a minute penalty. Leahy will spend in the box. Tigers looking to continue to add on to the lead. Just moving the ball around, remain patient, looking for an open angle, miss matchup, or miss slide. Feed back to Penn. Penn right back. Kessler shot and scores. Little give and go game. Penn to Kessler, who puts it in the back of the net.
That's just exactly what we're talking about. They're working the wheel to perfection. You saw he passed to Penn. Penn carried up and passed it right back. And low to no angle. That's where Levi Kessler will hurt you.
Pretty ball movement play on that man-up opportunity, and that's just a good job, finding the open man and giving yourself a situation where you can attack in that facet. Kessler's 2nd goal on the day, 5th in his last 3 games.
Yeah, you saw in that replay right there, he just followed Penn as he vacated the space, and there's no defender to account for him because they were that man down.
Another face-off looms. Tigers up by 4, 6-2. Penn almost wins the clamp, but the ball pops up high in the air. Hayes scoops the ground ball on the far side, feeding to Wildman. Wildman looking to attack. I think he was driving down the alley, then elected to pull up, get some more white jerseys in the offensive zone for the Rams.
Yeah, and you just got to sell this ball down here if you're New Canaan. I wouldn't mind seeing them take it all the way down to the buzzer. Their defense, they've been working this entire first half. They really have not had a very big break, and it's cost them because they've been letting up goals now that they probably wouldn't have if they had a break and they've had kind of time to rest.
Far side rotor met by 2 Tiger defenders, feeds to Laddick. Laddick spinning and turning, looking for any room, any vision. Can't find an open guy. Now driving down the line. Shot. Oh, ball almost bounces in.
Yeah, near disaster there, but that's just another showing of great defense. They're really locking down that goal line on Hladek, so he had to just turn around and take a bad shot, and Penn right there.
D-to-D pass back to Penn. Feeding up to Fitzpatrick.
Uh-oh.
The ball's on the ground. Open. Kearney picks it up. Shot. Wide right, trying to go bottom right on Leiden. Stephen Kearney, right place, right time, almost picked up another goal.
Yeah, but the problem is when you don't have a guy to back up shots, you don't get those possession shot opportunities, and Leiden was there to beat the other attackman, Colsey, to the end line. And now New Canaan's got possession again.
Yeah, we saw that multiple times in that Darien game, and that's what killed them is that, the limited possessions that they had, they weren't able to maintain them.
Roby taking it in deep, long pull. And feeds off to Mazabras, back down low, Laddick cycling over to Reed. Reed bodying his way inside. A few pulls along him, passing inside, then some magician shot by Wildman. Goes past the cage. It is a possession shot. New Canaan retains possession.
Yeah, right now Ridgefield's just kind of dominating the crease physically.
In 2 seconds, this will be it. A long pass, awkward situation. My apologies to cut you off, Tommy. Just clock ran out, and that'll do it for the first half here at Tom Fujitani Field on the campus of Wilton High School. Ridgefield up 6-2, and Tommy, I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah, they're just getting New Canaan's having a bit of problems with the physicality of this game so far. That's where Ridgefield pulled ahead against Staples, is they're owning the crease. They're stopping all shots on the interior, and that's where Wildman has got to come out to shine, and other New Canaan players do as well. They got to get those shots from the outside so they can pull defenders out.
One more half to go, or maybe an overtime period if we get lucky. But we'll be back here live on NCTV 78 in a few moments as you can watch some of the Ridgefield Tigers goals. A couple beautiful goals. That was one by Penn, bottom right. We'll see you back here after sponsors.
Community for years. Walter Stewart's is your fresh local market. We also thank our platinum sponsor Hoyt Livery for 30 plus years of service. We would like to thank our gold sponsor Anderson Kenny Architecture, a full service practice that encompasses a range of commissioned residential and commercial projects. Each project is a thoughtful collaboration tailored for clients and their needs. The outcome is highly personal, constructed with intention and integrity. We thank another gold sponsor, Club Sandwich, a family-owned deli right here in town serving the New Canaan community since 1986. They are a proud sponsor of the New Canaan community and all of our sports teams. And we thank NC Graphics LLC, a gold sponsor who is a constant supporter of the NCHS Booster Club. They are a custom graphics company located right here in New Canaan for all of your logo designing needs. Again, a big thank you to all of our sponsors. The NC Rams All Sports Booster Club supports all New Canaan High School athletics. Go Rams!
Welcome back here live on NCTV 78, the 2025 FCIAC Championship. Boys Lacrosse, a champion ready to be crowned right now. The Tigers up 6-2 thanks to their explosive offensive performance in that first half. Got to talk about it, though. Jake Carney has been dominant, whether that's moving the ball, but also his off-ball movement and his ability to facilitate the offense. Tommy, we'll start with you. Talk to me about Jake Carney and his impact tonight so far, but also his impact for this Ridgefield team throughout the entire postseason.
Yeah, Carney in his underclassmen years, he made a name for himself just kind of scoring from the crease. If you turned your head as a defender, he was always right behind you, and he was always catching the ball, putting it right back in there. But he's really developed as a big-time shooter. We've seen him take those step-down shots, and what he'll do early on in the game is he'll make you respect him as a shooter and then dodge on you. And then once you allocate enough defenders to him, he'll then pass the ball. And we've seen him do that early on with Kessler, late in the game against Staples, a 3-goal, 3-assist performance on Tuesday, and just all around a dominant player for the Tigers.
Now moving over to New Canaan's side of things, you know, their defense hasn't been as strong as you might have expected, but part of that is they haven't had possession. We'll start with Will Hayes. You know, he always is a big presence, but PJ, what does he need to do to get this New Canaan defense back into this game?
Yeah, Hayes, you know, as good as he is a defensive player, he is huge in the transition game for New Canaan. He is really probably their top clearing pole. He's great. He's great at taking shots, but he's also great at settling down the offense, which I think is half the problem, is that they haven't been able to get him the ball in transition and on the clear, and that's half the battle why they haven't been clearing the ball as well.
Opening faceoff of the second half. We're ready to go. Win by JT O'Neill. Looking to will this New Canaan Rams team back into this game, down 6-2, but still a whole half left to play. And if you can take away anything from the recent games in the postseason, you all you need is time, and you might see something special. New Canaan trying to do that, but the Tigers, coming out, they have the momentum right now, looking to build on something, maybe an early defensive stop. Their defense has been on fire here tonight.
Yeah, they've been really impressive. We've seen them work together on the crease and respond after every type of goal. The first one was a crease dive type play. They've locked down the crease since then. And then there was a pick play dodge. They've helped out on picks since then and doing a really good job defensively.
Roeder feeds up top. Wildman back to Roeder. Saw a little bit of give and go from the Rams early on, and they just need to settle things down, remain patient, and kind of take that mentality that the Tigers have came into this game with, just moving the ball around, looking for the right shot. Feeding down low to Laddick. Back up top, looking for a matchup is Roeder. Roeder far side. He's pushed off the ball, forced to move it down to X. A far side coming around the crease. Laddick does not see anything he likes, so the Rams will cycle the ball once again. Campese dodging, hands in his left. His shot, awkward angle, wide right.
Yeah, and that just wasn't really a good look for Campese. John, you just said awkward angle, but the Rams, they're really liking these big little matchups out here so far. They're liking how, the shorties, they're not really switching on the poles as much as you would expect out here, but I think the matchups with Roeder and with Laddick especially, those two, I think the Rams could kind of abuse this a little, and it could work out in their favor.
Near side, Roeder working on the short stick, and he puts in a good day's work, putting the ball in the back of the net. Now just a 3-goal advantage. Roeder, first goal of the second half, belongs to the Rams.
Yeah, way to get themselves started. You'll see on the replay here a hard face dodge, and the shorty doesn't exactly get hands on Roeder as he makes this, so he puts the ball over his head, little rocker shot right over the shoulder of Penn. No idea where that ball was going.
Yeah, great job by Roeder. I mean, you talk about your stick having eyes. Coaches always say it. And if Roeder's going down the alley, right, trying to protect his stick from the defender, he doesn't have as good an angle as if he's able to slip it inside and get it free with his top hand, which he was able to do there, and it worked out well.
Penn rebounds, wins the next face-off. Now 1 for 2 in this second half. Saw Penn dominate, though, in that first half. Now he'll come off quickly, which we haven't seen much of. Colsey up high. Tigers offense being pushed. Pressured up high is Christian. Christian over to Colsey, who bobbles the ball. Schwartz comes up with it and pushes it over to Leiden. Impressive, and my apologies, not Leiden. Jack Kroll pushing it over to Kroll.
Yeah, and great goose there by Blake Schwartz. It is really hard to kind of bat the ball that far, but he was able to do it.
Oh, my.
Oh, he's leveled there, but the Rams still able to.
Yeah, that was a hospital pass right there. Threw it to the middle of the field. Waiting for it was Blake Schwartz, but so were 2 Tiger defenders. They're going to get number 5 and Andrew Fitzpatrick here.
That was a big hit by Fitzpatrick, and I don't think the refs like the way that he extended his arms. I think if it's definitely in closer quarters and he doesn't fully extend his arms, maybe he gets away with it, but just the amount of pressure and the amount of just pure physicality on a hit like that, he'll spend some time in the box.
Yeah, it's a physical game, and at our cores we want to keep it that way going forward with how these games are refereed, but at the end of the day it's player safety. We saw on Tuesday a crease dive got wiped away, and it's really just trying to keep these kids safe while playing the game.
So the Rams tacked on 1 early in this third quarter, looking to tack on another man-up opportunity. Ball being spun around. Beautiful pass, shot. Doorstep save by Penn. What a save by the senior.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal save. I mean, Matt Reed on the doorstep probably 3 times this game. He's had a lot of good looks. That one, he got stonewalled by Penn. The other time, he was in the crease, but he did have a goal.
Curry coming loud, down shot, saved by Kroll. A little bit of transition game. You mentioned it, Tommy. Beautiful clear by the Tigers. Here come the Rams. He's looking for a goal. He shoots wide left. Opportunity for the Rams. Talked about Hayes' shooting abilities. You knew from the start, once he saw some open room there, he was looking to fire.
Yeah, this is really exciting lacrosse being played right now. Beautiful skip pass on the man-up opportunity to Reed, and a doorstop save, then a clear, another save, a clear again, and here we are on offense for the Rams.
Man-up opportunity squandered. Good defense by the Tigers, but there were a few chances. Rams still in the offensive zone.
Yeah, and just going back to what I was saying earlier about how the Rams, they weren't able to get Will Hayes involved in the transition too much in the first half. We've already seen it in the second half, and it has worked out very favorably for the Rams, as it's not only just getting the ball and settling it down, but it's also generating offensive opportunities on that shot.
Near side Campese, short stick matchup for him. Immediately feeds it over to Wildman. Shot saved by Penn.
Penn's getting hot right now.
And a shot out from deep, only adding to the momentum of a goalie like Penn. We talked about the 4 teams all have solidified stars in net. Penn definitely having his way early on. Might be good for the Rams to switch out too. Those 6 goals isn't a lot. You get fresh eyes in net with Jack Kroll.
Yeah, and I don't mind that shot from Gray Wildman, but he went high to high there. He didn't try and change levels as, a lot of shooters would. So I think the distance and the idea was there, but you just got to execute a little better and try and go high to low or low to high.
Kristen to Kearney. Kearney has a big matchup with Leiden. New Canaan elected to, try to put the locks on Kearney with the big, strong, long pull of Leiden. Near side shot, high into the left. Near miss for Curry.
Yeah, to your point there, PJ, you're talking about Wildman's shot. That was one, it was just kind of like a mid-range shot. And if you're going to take him from those 15 to 20, you got to be a great shooter, which he is. You got to put in a great location, which that wasn't exactly the best. And the goalie can't see it from start to finish. And those last 2 things weren't true for Wildman's shot, and it just ended up in a save.
Penn up high, gets a screen set by Colsey coming around, working it. Now he's coming downhill. Pass over Curry. Curry shot wide left of Kroll once again.
Yeah, I think if you're New Canaan right now, you got to dial down the aggressiveness. They're going for those doubles, and it's leaving somebody open. And luckily, Corey's missed his last 2 shots. But open opportunities against a goalie who's just in the game won't really end you up in any better situation.
Yeah, and also too many home run checks here as well. The Rams are trying to create a lot of turnovers, which, of course, down in a game you would love, but it's not going to work all the time. That's a great pass there by Kearney.
And they're going to get a flag. Again, just trying too hard defensively.
Beyond Campese as he shakes his head. Beautiful pass by Kearney. Almost reminds me of the 2 Penn State behind-the-back goals in the Division I semifinals. And we haven't seen a lot of behind-the-back goals in the FCIAC this year. That would have been a beautiful feed.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, you got to put it perfectly, because if you try it and it fails, your coach won't let you see the field again.
30-second man-up opportunity for the Tigers. 6:10 remaining in this third quarter. Tigers up 6-3. Moving the ball around. Remember, they did score on their last man-up opportunity. Remaining patient, just moving the ball around. It was a little give and go and feed it right back. Up top, Kearney. He needs to look to be a facilitator. Colsey, the wing shooter. Passes to X. Moving the ball around is the Tigers. Good check. Takeaway by Hayes. Now Hayes out and running. Hayes looking behind. Has the ball checked by Curry. Ball on the ground, fighting for it. A lot of bodies. Physicality. No one able to come up with it until the Tigers do.
Yeah, hustle play from start to finish there. Corey gets it taken away.
And another hustle play. Pass inside. Hayes. Shot. Oh, he missed. Look what looked like a wide open net. Not sure if it was fully wide open, as he looks a little bit frustrated. We'll see on the replay. Beautiful pass in front. All started from the aggressive check by Matt Reed on the ride.
Yeah, and that's where aggressiveness can get you. Either you miss or you make something crazy good happen. Nice block there. See if this will end up Ridgefield, their New Canaan ball.
Shot by Roeder. See that Ridgefield bench going crazy. Possession back to the Tigers. The Tigers bench have had a lot to cheer for early on in this third quarter. And a quick timeout will settle things down. 5:01 remaining. Tigers up 6-3, and a lot of back and forth across, and the pace is definitely sped up here.
Yeah, and you see, now we're getting to the waning parts of this game. There's only 5 minutes left. And New Canaan, they're taking every opportunity they can because they got to bridge this gap. 3 goals has been harder to come by than we thought it would be in this game. And Ridgefield just dominating right now.
Yeah, much more defensive type of game. New Canaan, of course, you mentioned coming off that Darien game, and they've been in a lot of defensive games. They lost to Staples earlier this year. There were one FCIAC loss, 7-6 tight game. There definitely have been games where their offense has been exploited, but when you play a defensive brand of lacrosse like New Canaan does, you find yourself in a lot of low-scoring games, and that's exactly what we have right here tonight with a championship on the line.
Yeah, New Canaan, their offense is very boom or bust. They have their games where they'll put up a bunch of goals and it looks like they're unstoppable, but then they have games like this where they have trouble hitting the net, and I think that's what we've really seen is that they're trying to paint those corners too much that they're not even hitting the goal, which, eventually shots are going to fall if you just put them on cage, but you're not going to get a goal if it's not going on the cage. So I think just getting opportunities and, of course, you would love to have it out in front, but a guy like Wildman, a guy like Reed, you want to put those on the ground, even Campese as well. You want to put them in, I don't want to say roll them, but you want them to kind of just skid the ground a little.
Possession will go to the Tigers. Quick timeout coming out, have an opportunity, right setup of play, figure out something, draw up some motion, Penn on the far side. The Fogo who spent much more time as a midfielder here tonight. Up top, Colsey, way up high, being pressured by the long pull of Leahy. Leahy checks the ball free. Colsey still fighting and picks up the ground ball. Colsey trying to work his way more towards the middle.
Double.
And then immediately doubled by 2 long pulls. Up top, Penn looking for the pass, trying to feed it inside. Carney.
Oh, great job by Braden Roby there to recover inside, and he brought that 2-slide right in time and was able to get on Carney.
See Bryce, aggressive play, far side.
Yeah,
referee calling for a hold. So possession back to the Tigers as it almost looked like New Canaan was coming away with a turnover. 4:10 remaining. Up top, Penn looking for some shooting space. Feeds to Colsey. Colsey, nice little swing dodge, coming across, shot and scores. Pinpoint accuracy from the sophomore.
Yeah, watch for this replay. This is something we saw in the semifinal too. He'll drag a defender way out to that sideline, take a hard face dodge, and then just run at an angle straight at the cage. Overhand shot basically above his head. And you can see right here, he makes his move, swims over the defender, gets a pick from Lund, great job there, and then bouncer right at the feet of Kroll. It goes top corner.
It looked like Kroll thought he was going low until that ball was above his head and right below the crossbar.
Yeah, and Colsey, he hasn't had his way really that much today, but that screen that came from Lund, it was really well placed. And another thing is that the Rams, they weren't able to jam him. Brooks Wonderlick, he wasn't able to kind of jam him and kind of slow him down after that pick and give Leahy time to recover, and then that gave him pretty much a one-on-one path to the cage because Wonderlick, he didn't decide to switch, but he wasn't really able to jam on him either.
Yeah, O'Neal will win this face-off here for the Rams due to a time-wasting violation on Penn.
Campese feeds to Roeder. Roeder with the Rams' most recent goal, although they look to tack on a few more, down by 4, 3:35 remaining. Wildman drawing his defender outside, then moving more towards the top. As he moves to his left, long pole matchup on him. Over Campese. Campese using the screen. Shot wide left.
Yeah, New Canaan's got to be putting these shots on the floor. The bouncers and the low ones are going on Penn, but up high has been phenomenal so far.
Pass down low to Mazabras. Mazabras with the short stick matchup. Walking, tiptoeing the line of the crease over Campese. Shot saved by Penn. See clapping on the side by head coach Goldman for the Tigers. The Tigers loving it. Penn having a nice game until they turn the ball over. Ball in the stick of Wildman. Opportunity for the Rams. Laddick bumps the ref.
Yeah, and good job pulling it out there by Laddick. The Rams, they wanted to go quick to see if they could capitalize, but after really nothing came, it was a good idea.
Roeder pass inside Mazabras as he gets all metal. Ball pops free. Tigers running. Looks like New Canaan will be caught for an offside possibly.
No, Ridgefield wanted it, but Roeder was still not over the midline, so the Rams were fine.
Ground ball picked up, scooped by Hayes as he moves in, almost pass picked off over Campese, shot. Deflected off of something high and wide.
Yeah, Penn desperately trying to get his defense ready.
Hayes, another shot. You see that ball bend mid-air. Curving to the left up. Possession shot for the Rams. Timeout.
Yeah, and Ridgefield this time took a timeout defensively. We saw New Canaan take one earlier, and now they're going to get theirs just because their defense all out of sorts, couldn't clear the ball. Now they're just going to regroup.
And I think this will be a good opportunity for the Rams too, right? Use this timeout, draw up a play. You have an opportunity to take a minute and just settle things down and really go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, the Rams, the offense has been pretty stagnant so far. As we see Ridgefield's offense, they have definitely been buzzing. As you see Colsey again, he put it on the ground on the bouncer and was able to tuck it right underneath the crossbar. But New Canaan, they have to get it low, and they have to try and work those shorties and those matchups. Ridgefield, they don't have the strongest defense individually, but they play as a team, they play together. So New Canaan, you have to try and look to capitalize on those matchups and capitalize quick before the slide can come or the two slide.
Yeah, and speaking on those bounce shots that you're calling for, PJ, on this type of field, on a turf field, it's really a lot harder to come by. So you got to alter your shot. You got to bounce it a lot earlier. And we saw Colsey bounce it outside of that baby blue crease color that we're seeing on the field. And that's why it got such a high and unexpected bounce, because normally a bouncer on the turf will just skip, unlike grass.
Rams opportunity, timeout by Ridgefield. You know the Ridgefield defense will be set. Coming out of the timeout, Ridgefield up by 4, 7-3 with 2:18 remaining in this third quarter. And since that early goal by the Rams and then the goal by Colsey, it definitely haven't seen a lot of offense in this third quarter. 2 impressive goals. New Canaan looking to add on. Wildman looking for the shot, feeds up top. Campese.
And they're in zone now,
side.
But when he gets over to Wildman, look how much space Kirchner is giving him down the alley to his left, because they're going to let him go down the field and pick up a slide, but they're not going to let him cut across the middle of the field with his right hand.
Up top, Wildman as Laddick's pushed down.
And good job there by Laddick to draw the double and feed it off to Wildman. It was a good open for Wildman if he wanted it, but decided to pass it off instead.
Good spin move, Campese. Shot sprawling, saved by Penn. Rebound pops free, New Canaan. Ball up in the air. Ball picked up then on the clear by Gemlin. Gemlin comes across midfield now at the 30, looking for a shot. Pass inside, beautiful pass, feed, Colsey, back of the net, boom.
Yeah, and this is what Colsey does just about as good as anybody. One-on-one with the goalie, great clear by Gemlin. And that's just mean to do to Kroll. Head fakes there and there and there, and you'll see in the replay, he changes his mind where he wants to put this ball. Brings it low, then high, then low, then just puts it over the head of the keeper.
Nothing Kroll could do there. One-on-one with Colsey. Colsey has all the momentum in the world on the fast break. Just a few quick fakes. That ball is in the back of the net before you know it. Now 8-3. Tigers up by 5.
Yeah, good scenario there offensively for Ridgefield. The other thing I would have said is if they had not scored, I would have looked to settle the ball. They were on defense for a long time there, a bit of frantic play. And it looks like they'll have to spend a little more time on defense unless they can grab this ground ball.
Yeah, and just going back to that last play, it was a clear, obvious defensive breakdown and miscommunication from New Canaan. You saw it was Leahy and Leiden who both slid to the ball along with Mazabers there. So it really just left a bunch of players open.
Oh, my.
Behind the back, thriller for Kearney. What a goal.
And this is just about as good as it gets. Corey, the one-man show to grab that ground ball, comes flying up the middle of the field. We got the Penn brothers celebrating at midfield. All the energy is in black and orange. Watch this pass here. Down to Colsey, then just one more. And Kearney, you try the behind the back once, and it just goes.
And there's a reason why we've mentioned Kearney's name a few times. Just putting his skills on display here with the championship on the line. What a beautiful play by Jake Kearney. Kearney, have a night. the senior for the Tigers, just beautiful behind the back goal. Face off up, Penn wins the clamp, but possession will go to New Canaan.
Yeah, the Rams man down here, so New Canaan, they're gonna want to try and kill this penalty and play with it down low with Laddick and with Reed and just try to run out this clock along the end line.
Yeah, interesting that penalty still stood after the goal that was scored. So that means it's locked in, means they'll have to serve this entire time. And a goal wouldn't even save New Canaan from being man down.
Now man down, as you mentioned, PJ just going to try to run out the clock on this man down opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if Ridgefield becomes aggressive. Of course, up by 5. They might be fine with New Canaan just running out the rest of this clock. Roeder driving down the alley, looking for a shot. His shot wide, possession shot for New Canaan, picked up by Laddick.
Yeah, definitely a good thing there, because New Canaan, if they haven't been able to put these shots on goal, at least it serves as a function to rotate their offense and get some plays from the end line. So different looks for different opportunities.
Laddick sliding his defender from left to right.
That's just impressive.
Until Janaki checks the ball free, ball thrown down. That'll be the end of the third quarter. And we saw maybe just the best goal of the entire tournament by Kearney. All momentum in the hands of the Tigers, up 9-3. We'll see you back here on NCTV 78 for the fourth quarter of action.
Shout out to our sponsors, Innovative Health and Rehabilitation, Lex.com, the First County Bank, Flawless Insurance, Metro Team Sports, the Next Street, the Fairfield County Sports Hall of Fame and Youth Foundation, Orthopedics and Stanford Health, SAC Athlete, Leapery, Performance Insoles, Clark's Trophies, Jersey Mike Subs, Olay Soccer, Ultimate Inc., the Connecticut Company, the Connecticut Run Company, and the Nixon Company. Thank you to all of our sponsors once again. We certainly appreciate everything you've done to support the FCIAC. Thank you.
Back now for what might possibly be the final quarter of the 2025 FCIAC Championship. Tigers up 9-3. And hopefully we'll be able to get another look at that most recent goal by the Tigers. Jake Kearney putting in a behind the back goal. A top 10 play. Definitely a nominee. And the Tigers feeling all the momentum up right now, especially on that bench and from the fans. New Canaan able to pick up the ground ball. Hayes is out of the penalty box, so even strength. Leahy far side, running away from a few Tiger defenders. Kroll receives the pass, then is hit.
Yeah,
and he's out on the chase.
Gritty play from your goalie. Taking a hit, now going into the attacking box and getting the pass off.
Kroll
but look
all
out.
the way in, then turns the ball over. Flag flies up in the air.
Looks like New Canaan, I think, is going to be man up here. So good opportunity to get some momentum if you're the Rams, which you really need. You need to get a goal on the board, and you need one fast.
You mentioned PJ, and you've definitely, both of you guys have played more lacrosse than I have. When does this become more of a desperation game? Down by 6, you still have a full quarter left. Man up opportunity here, but when does the clock start to become an issue?
Well, I'll start. You never want to call it a desperation game unless it's really a blowout. I mean, this is a 6-goal game. It's still close in some sense of the word, but what you want to do is act like the score is still 0-0. Of course, you need to score. A great save there from Penn. You just want to operate business as usual, but with a little more intensity. Try and do some things right when they've been going wrong all game long.
Yeah, and, you know, you got to see how these first, I'd say, oh, wow, from Leahy. I'd say you got to see how the first probably 5 or 6 minutes of this fourth quarter go, and then if the score stays the same, then you really got to start pushing it.
Here comes Kearney, feed Kessler, and score. Jump in celebration. Tigers up 10-3. We'll see if the flag still holds true.
Yeah, Corey took a big hit. Another time, I'm going to say a hospital pass, threw it high to him. And you got these big defenders closing over the middle. Takes a huge hit, gives the ball off to Kearney, lets the offense go to work. Kessler gets the feed, and he's in the back of the net yet again.
You guys can't see, but that Ridgefield bench going crazy after that goal. All started from the feed across midfield by Gemlin and finished off by Kessler, the feed by Kearney. And Kearney able to just continue to swiftly move the ball in transition, resulting in another Tiger goal.
Yeah, Corey still looks shaken up. He's kneeling by the bench on the sideline. We'll hope that he's okay, but had enough left in him to flip that ball over his shoulder to Kearney and then just take the rest of the play off. And well-deserved given that hit.
Face-off opportunity. New Canaan, if they want to get back into this game, they
Yeah.
have to start winning a few face-offs.
And they're going to lose this one. They had some confusion on where they wanted to sub a guy on, and it's going to be another time-wasting penalty on the face-off.
Looks like New Canaan, I think they thought that the penalty got waived after the goal, so they had the short stick of Wunderlich down low, but unfortunately for them, I think it still is. They still are man down.
They are. Leahy's still inside the penalty box.
I guess the refs are talking it over, so maybe one of the refs told Coach Buzzio that it should have been an even man face-off, and I guess maybe.
Really depends on what the call was that Leahy got hit with. If it was an unnecessary roughness call, then he would be locked in. Otherwise, he should be allowed to be out there. Unless maybe they're saying illegal body check. Hard to tell so far.
See the ref talking to head coach Chip Buzzio right now. Buzzio definitely pretty heated. So he takes a swig from his water bottle. Referee's still conversing with Coach Buzzio as Leahy remains in the box, just kind of looking around, waiting for some instruction.
At this point, it's kind of hard to change anything because you can't just award New Canaan possession after that. They've already had a ruling on the field where they gave a loose ball to Ridgefield. Too late now.
Possession will be in the hands of the Tigers. Colsey feeds back down low at X. Tigers continue to remain patient. It's Brandon Penn, the Fogo, who's had a really good game right beside Kessler. Penn up top is Kristen. Feeding Colsey, back down low at X. Penn looking for shooting space. Kearney, Penn, inside Kessler. Shot over the head of Kroll, wide right.
Good look there. They're keeping this defense on their toes, but Kessler just needs to take another step upfield for that shot.
Far side, Colsey enters more towards the top. Back down low, Kessler. Cross to Kearney. Kearney shot. Looked like he was checked. Kroll makes the save, head up, looking for a pass. Pass across Sully. Sullivan coming. Knocked off on the body. New Canaan entering offensive zone. Sully bodying his way inside. Up top, ball being fought for from both teams.
Watch out for
Tigers come
Kearney.
away. Kearney all by himself, man alone on an island. Feed across, give and go. Beautiful passing game over Colsey. Doesn't get much easier than that. Colsey wide open net. Beautiful feed from Kearney.
Yeah, and these are what the drills you run in pregame are for. You get like a two-man, two-on-one build-up play, and Kearney and Colsey, they've just practiced that time and time again. He acts like he's going for the shot, draws the slide, and passes it to a wide-open Colsey for another goal.
Tigers running away with this one now, 11-2-3, 8-goal advantage. 9:18 remaining in this fourth quarter. See, New Canaan needs to show some signs of life right now. You know, just something, get some momentum, score a goal, get the bench involved, get the crowd involved as well, and get some more energy. O'Neal wins the face-off. That's a good start. High pass brought down by Reed.
Yeah, and at this point, it's not yet desperation, but things aren't going right at all, and that's a problem. They're still winning faceoffs, which is good, but you need to start converting it into goals, because if you don't win this game, then States rolls around, you don't fix those issues, your season's not going anywhere else.
Reed to Campese. Up top, Roeder. Little three-man game. Big set. Stick goes flying. Shot by Wildman. Off the leg of a long pole. Rebound shot. And scores. Cole Campese.
That was Brady Mazabras there who picked it up right in the middle. That was a great awareness by Brady Mazabras to see no defenders around him, and that's his signature shot. I still remember him hitting that freshman year against Darien, and he loves that shot. And Mazabras, that step down right in the middle, that's his bread and butter. He's hitting that every single time.
You get lucky when that ball comes right to you, which it did for Mazabras. The initial shot by Wildman off the leg of a defender. Mazabras scoops it up and scores. Now down by 7, 11-4. 8:41 remaining. Penn O'Neill fighting. Ground ball scooped by O'Neill. O'Neill far side. Entering the zone, has some space. Working his way down the alley up top. Hayes looking for a shot. The LSM shoot and scored. Will Hayes, goals within seconds of each other. Mazabras and Hayes bring the Rams within 6.
And crazier things have happened on a lacrosse field than a comeback from down 11-3. 2 goals in a row. They're going to get themselves going.
They're waving the what?
And they are waving Will Hayes' goal off. Not sure what the referee just called.
I think they might have been saying offsides, which is a procedure call and an automatic turnover for the ball, but just a late whistle by the ref.
Yeah, that's extremely late. Yeah, if he called it, right after the goal or something, that'd be one thing, but I mean, that was a good 10, 20 seconds after the play. I don't know how you could, call that.
Penn with the ball in his stick, showing off some of his wheels as he's checked from both sides, somehow retains possession. Far side, a little bit of aggressiveness by Leiden.
And now they're going to give Ridgefield a timeout. Coach Goldman must have called it while Penn still had the ball in his stick before he flung it down the field.
Timeout for the Tigers. Maybe just an opportunity to slow things down. A replay of the goal that did not count. Will Hayes' shot, the long pole shot and scored. It looked like everyone on the New Canaan sideline, the New Canaan bench, thought it was a goal until it wasn't.
Yeah, sometimes you get so sucked up with a play, you're not looking back towards the middle of the field. You're only looking at the guy with the ball or whoever's shooting. And so sometimes that referee way back there can kind of get lost. Maybe he was showing a signal, but none of us had seen it at the time.
11-4 in this game, 8:09 remaining. While we have a moment, though, we want to make you aware of the girls lacrosse FCIAC final. Darien are your FCIAC champions once again. Of course, New Canaan was the defending champion, but Darien came away with it this year. A 9-3 victory over Wilton. The Blue Wave are back on top of the FCIAC on the girls' side. And talk about that girls' side, that girls' Darien team's just so dominant this season, really blowing everyone out that was within range. Well-deserved crown for them as they look to go on and win the state championship as well. And we'll probably crown an FCIAC champion shortly here.
Yeah, Darien, we talked about them trying to be that 1C in terms of the FCIAC. They're the 1A for girls, and New Canaan's been very close. Wilton has always been on the outside looking in. They finally got over New Canaan, but just Darien too dominant in that game. Nice save there.
Shot saved by Kroll. It was a shot from the stick of Curry. It's a save by Kroll. Possession shot retained by the Tigers. You see here on the replay, Curry coming across, then just shot, sidearm shot, saved by Kroll.
That's a good take. They're in what you call a blackjack, which is a gambling move defensively. They're taking their goalie out of the cage and they're doubling the ball. And that's why Corey went to the game. A triple is going to draw the flag here.
The flag flies high up in the air. Ground ball scooped up by Leiden, but someone will end up in the penalty box for the Rams.
I think it's a slash on Roby there. He went for the one-handed wrap check with the pull. You don't see that too often. It's going to be a 30-second penalty on him, but yeah, that's just not the smartest move at this point in the game. You know, of course it is desperation time, you know, or at least getting there, but throwing a one-handed slap check like that is not, especially when you're a guy in Braden Roby who has a great bag of takeaway checks that he could throw, and I just don't think that that was the move.
11-2-4, Tigers on top, man-up opportunity. We'll see how aggressive they play the next few minutes, whether they're looking for or continuing to go for goal or whether or not they're just going to continue to move the ball and run time off the clock. He's facing no real pressure here as Kroll comes out of the cage, feed over, shot, big hit. Ball still is free, picked up by Kroll, long pass.
Oh, not on the same page.
Miscommunication. Not on the same page.
Wow.
Somehow Schwartz comes away with it. 2-on-1 opportunity. Coming across at the goal line. Pass to the middle. Shot. Low to high opportunity. High of the cage.
That's a great idea by Blake Schwartz. He saw it all the way through. He was running down. He saw Sullivan coming right down Main Street. Ridgefield didn't see him behind. And, you know, he ran in. He had the good look, just unable to convert.
Laddick at X. He spins, goes around the far side of the crease, gets some open room, shot deflected from behind.
Fitzpatrick, a well-timed check there.
Near side is Reed, coming across down low at X, switching sides, then spinning. A little bit of physicality, pushes up top, shot by Wildman high into the left. 6:24 remaining, Rams down by 7, looking to net a few quick goals. Down low is Wildman. Tigers defense remains strong. Shot Wildman, far right.
Yeah, and the Rams, I've talked this whole game about it. They got to get shots on the ground. I think we have seen the same, you know, high save out of Penn this entire game. I mean, he's just saving every single shot that is trying to be tucked underneath that crossbar, and it's obviously not working for New Canaan. They got to get some bouncers, you know, even if it's high or even if it's low, you just got to get something that changes the plane and tries to fool them.
Campese coming across, works his way in the middle, checked from behind by the Tigers. Ground ball scooped by Reed. Reed near corner. Working his way across the middle, behind the back attempt by Campese. He gets his own rebound and another shot, high and wide.
I don't hate that take out of Campese there. Sometimes if you have the ball in your right hand, you don't have an angle, a behind-the-back shot is the best way to go. Just a good save from Penn.
Yeah, I was about to say the same exact thing, Tommy. I like that opportunity from Campese. I think, you know, he didn't have the angle, but he's also trying to change things up and trying to trick Penn and, you know, not let him know his next move, which the Rams have kind of been telegraphing all their shots all game long.
Near side, Reed up top to Roeder. New Canaan letting shots fly in the past couple of minutes. Roeder, another shot saved by Penn. There's a case where Penn could be the FCIAC MVP this year. You mentioned on the broadcast in the semifinals, 2 of the most recent 3 MVPs were goalies.
Oh my.
Yeah,
I don't know how they got away with that.
Harden looking to trip a Tiger.
If Penn isn't the MVP in this game, I don't know what to say about this committee, whoever votes for it, because he has been phenomenal so far. And yeah, it's really come down to goalie play in games like this where, you know, one outshines the other, and that's been the reason that teams win.
I think depending on how many assists Carney is credited with in this game, it might change that ruling.
Carney near side with the ball. Kroll way out of the crease, picking up an attackman, which is Kessler. Kessler's spinning now. A long pull on him. Beautiful spin move, able to create some space. Now the Tigers just trying to run the clock out. Moving the ball around. Doubled is Kessler. Nice long pass. At X is Kristen. Now Kristen far corner.
And this is a magnificent job of just time wasting, evading everybody, not taking any shots, even with a wide open net, which is a good impulse control, great check there, but they're going to call a procedure on Ridgefield.
Keep in mind, Kessler had the ball wide open net right there on that most recent play, elected not to shoot. Kroll in his own crease now out, looking for a pass, feeds to Leahy. Leahy D to D pass, Leahy to Leiden. Leiden far side, up top Wildman. Wildman long pull on him, shot from the left, wide right.
That's a good take out of Wildman there. We've seen him have his left hand open for the entire game, and now he finally takes it for a lefty shot on the run.
Reed coming in, dives and scores. See a flag flies in the air as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly basically what Matt Reed to get his first, what he did to get his first goal in this game as well. Just kind of diving on the crease. He's able to draw the flag on the push from the back, but he's got such great speed that he's able to do that. And it's hard for a goalie with a player in that close, especially moving like that, to try and get a read on them. And you know, Matt Reed, he was able to tuck it kind of on that offside shoulder, and it worked out very well for New Canaan. And you know, looks like we're going to get a man down face here as well for Ridgefield, so the Rams could get a 2-for-1 off of this.
I don't think I necessarily agree with all the push calls we've been seeing. Reed, that's the second time, or third time rather, that he's tried a crease dive type move, and it looked like on that one at least he was voluntarily jumping into the air, but the referees are throwing the flag nonetheless.
Face-off violation, ball goes to the Tigers. It's a one up top, met with a check, retains possession. Protecting that ball like a baby. Kessler guarded by Roby.
Yeah, now that the Rams are a man up defensively, they don't need to have the keeper leave the crease, even though he's doing it right now. They have a free double.
A lot of physicality, bodies pushing and shoving. The goalie comes away with it. Kroll, back foot, step. Looked like a pass just kind of into some open space, picked up by Hayes. Hayes feeds Sullivan. Sullivan over a shot by Reed, wide right. And no one back for New Canaan. Possession back to the Tigers.
Reed's got to look for Hladek on that back post there, because he was curling up looking for the pass, because he would have had a better shot than that, and nobody back it up for New Canaan.
Penn pass to his own defender, then gets the ball back, just skying the ball, looking for maybe a goal.
Wow.
But it's a completed pass. What vision, shot, and scores. Colsey puts it in the back of the net. And another case for Penn to be the MVP, as now he has a point.
A full field assist from the keeper is not something you see every day. I was surprised that Colsey could even catch that. He was face guarded the whole time and then just slipped under and put it in the back of the net. Really, really impressive stuff here.
See, between each possession two, right? Colsey with the most recent goal, but Penn switching sticks, going from the Fogo to an attackman consistently, as he'll enter to take another face-off against O'Neill, who he's had the advantage against tonight.
Yeah, and this game has really kind of been the reciprocal of what we saw on that other time when these teams met in the regular season, when it was New Canaan who was scoring a bunch of goals and really dominating the face-off X. But now it's been Ridgefield who, you know, has capitalized on New Canaan's sloppy mistakes and won at the face-off X. And for that, they've really, you know, they've scored 12 goals themselves and, you know, really stepping it up.
Shot Wildman, saved by Penn. Flag will fly. And Ridgefield will be a man down, man up opportunity for the Rams. 12-5, 2:08 remaining. Hear that Ridgefield student section waving by to New Canaan. They can feel it, they can taste it. The Tigers are very close to their the program's second FCIAC champion. The shot rings some pipe. Ball high in the air, come down with by Gemlin, but checked free by New Canaan. Pass inside, feed Campese. He whiffs on it. Bodies laying out. Coming away is Fitzpatrick as he's shoved to the ground by Campese.
Yeah, I think there might have been a trip that New Canaan got away with there. And
Flags will fly behind the back goal, spinning goal, my apologies, by Wildman as 2 flags way up in the air.
They're going to get some slashing calls on Ridgefield there. A lot of man-up opportunities for New Canaan. We're finally seeing them cash in on them late in this game. That's just impressive. Backhand, shovel shot. Goalie has no chance.
Few, highlight real goals here tonight, guys. That one definitely going to be added to the mix. Spinning shovel shot by Wildman makes it 12-6. Minute 35 remaining in this 4th quarter. O'Neill and Penn meeting once again. Penn, good move. Able to not fully come away with it, but pop it up free. Getting it free to Garosa. New Canaan picks up the ball, though. They have possession. Shot Laddick, saved by Penn.
Yeah, and you've seen a very common denominator in all of Penn's saves and all of New Canaan's goals. It's that when New Canaan scores, they're changing levels and they're constantly trying to almost trick Penn and make them think that they're going one way, but they're really the other. And meanwhile, when Penn's saving the ball, it's because New Canaan, they're telegraphing where they're shooting the ball. It's high to high, it's low to low, and they're not changing planes and changing levels. And that's really been the difference maker because New Canaan, they've had the shots, they just haven't had, they haven't been able to convert.
Shot by Campese, blocked by Kirshner. Another ball out in the middle. Flag flies way across the field. And a slashing on the Tigers will give possession to the Rams. The slash goes on Garosa. 12-6, Tigers 45 seconds away from being crowned the FCIAC champions. They're about to go crazy. Big win for the Tigers. New Canaan still on offense, looking to pick up some scraps. Shot by Roeder. He scores.
Yeah, great goal by Roeder there. He steps into it, and it's too little too late from New Canaan. I mean, they came into this quarter only with 3 goals. They have 7 now. They've scored 4 in the 4th alone, but the offense is just coming alive too late. They needed to really be stepping this up and playing like this throughout the entire game, and that's the intensity that you would expect out of the top seed, out of this #1 team that's only lost a game so far this season. But it's really just been the offense that has been kind of lackluster and giving the ball away and making silly mistakes, and that's converted to the defensive end as well, because there have been several moments in this game and several breaks where Ridgefield has just gotten great looks right on the doorstep, and New Canaan hasn't been able to do anything on defense because their offense hasn't been getting back in the hole or giving them anything.
That is a surprising call,
Yeah,
giving Penn the end line win. But I agree, it is too little too late. Simply put, 12-7 looks better on the box score than 12-6 ever will.
See Wildman talking to the ref right now. Penn hands the ball back. Interesting call. The final timeout by head coach Buzzio.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see whether it be Dylan Penn or one of the defenders just launch this ball down the field again. They haven't been burning too much energy trying to operate their clear. They're just kind of throwing the ball all the way to the other side, making New Canaan start again.
New Canaan down by 5. See the Tigers all huddled up very closely. Getting ready maybe to celebrate. New Canaan still in that huddle. I think the way teams handle victories are just as important as the way teams handle losses, right? You have to handle these losses with respect for the other team. And, coming into this tournament, you may not have picked Ridgefield to win, but we said from the beginning all 4 teams had an opportunity to win. You look at the Tigers, if they win in 33 seconds, which is very, very likely. You know, they took down the 2 and 1 seed in the FCIAC tournament, both pretty convincingly, too. If you look at the way the Tigers took down the Wreckers in that second half yesterday, of course, tied at 5 and a 2-goal defeat, I don't think, you know, correctly tells the story of the game yesterday. On Tuesday, the Tigers looked very, very strong Tuesday, and they look just as strong, if not stronger, tonight in the FCIAC championship.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about the FCIAC is the regular season can give you one idea, and the tournament can give you a whole other thing. Like I said before, it's hard to beat the same team twice because you're not really facing the same team. Ridgefield's been through the regular season. They've learned their lessons, and now they've come out in this tournament. They were aggressive, they were physical, and they scored a lot without allowing many on the other end.
Penn will hold the ball. He'll chuck it all the way down.
A little premature.
Well, he was kind of forced to because of the, you're allowed 20 seconds on your own side, and then, it's got to be over the midline. So Ridgefield, I guess they're just chucking it, to, I guess, stop New Canaan from possibly scoring again. But New Canaan, you could tell that all these players are mad. They're not enjoying this right now. So anticipate a big run in states and a little revenge, because you could tell Coach Buzzio and the rest of this squad, they're going to be out for it.
And that'll do it. Ridgefield are your 2025 FCIAC champions. They are at the top of the FCIAC right now. The dog pile over Penn. Dylan Penn, what a performance he had, leading his team to victory. The Tigers' second FCIAC championship in program history happens this year, 2025. Your champions are the Ridgefield Tigers.
Yeah, and just a great game out of Ridgefield. They capitalized on every single New Canaan mistake. They made them pay for it. And, all those hustle plays, those 50-50 ground balls, they all went black, and New Canaan just didn't get any luck today. And Ridgefield, they definitely made the most of their opportunities, and, offensively and defensively. I mean, Carney was phenomenal, Colsey was phenomenal, and Kessler as well. All three of those guys really conducted this Ridgefield offense to this win and kind of carried them on their backs, as well as Jackson Penn and Dylan Penn.
Yeah, they're going to have to clear the field a little bit. The Ridgefield student section off the fence are celebrating with their team. But it really just speaks to what you got to do as a team. You got to get it done in all three aspects. You got to win the face-offs. You got to play well offensively. You got to play good defense, and your goalie has to play well. And it's the transition between those things. If you can ride the ball, which they did, you'll win the game. If you can clear the ball, which we saw many times, you're going to win the game. If you can transition from defense to offense well and vice versa, you're going to win the game. And Ridgefield showed us that in all three games of the FCIAC tournament, and this is the first game that we've seen them win handily from start to finish, but they outlasted all the competition in the FCIAC.
And this is a team championship, right? You can't win this unless you are truly the best team. It's not a one-man show, and the Tigers proved that here tonight. Penn was fantastic. Carney, Kessler, Colsey, all big contributors. But talk about that Ridgefield defense, who completely shut down this New Canaan offense. Throughout the entire game, especially those first 3 quarters, New Canaan's offense unable to get anything. What a performance, dominant performance by this entire Tiger team. You see some highlights here, goals back and forth, a lot of Ridgefield goals. They put up 12 here tonight, winning the FCIAC championship by 5. 12-7 is your final score here at Tom Fujitani Field. See both teams shaking hands. In a moment, there will be the awards ceremony, the presentation where they bring out the trophy, or the plaque, I should say, and to give each player their own individual medal, and talk about what this means for the town of Ridgefield. You saw the entire student section storming the field as they still look like they're trying to maybe possibly get on the field afterwards and celebrate with their team. This whole town proud of the 2025 boys lacrosse team from Ridgefield.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait a while. It is a long process to award the trophy and the runner-up trophy for both teams. But, I mean, the FCIAC, it just means more for a lot of teams. And for Ridgefield, they've been on the outside looking in for a long time in their history. They only had one win prior to tonight. And, finally you get back on the board. It might take a while, but it's going to feel great. And you talked about it. It's a team game. They're going to have a great night, a great weekend, and then it's back to work because states are rolling around soon. But this is a cause for celebration.
You talk about, being at the top of the FCIAC once again. They've been to the championship game 4 times since they last won it. It took them 5 times, but the 5th time is the charm, taking down New Canaan, who coming into the tournament, number 1 ranked team in the FCIAC, number 1 ranked team in the state, number 20th nationally. And the Tigers put on a clinic going back, and definitely a lot of positive momentum. You talk about going into states. There's still the entire state tournament. New Canaan is going to be out for revenge. The Tigers are going to come off riding that high, and who knows, they could get round 3 between these 2 teams. All these top FCIAC teams usually make it pretty far. The top 4 teams in the state rankings, all 4 FCIAC teams, New Canaan, Staples, Ridgefield, Darien, in that exact order. So there's more than likely a shot that you're going to be end up facing another FCIAC team. New Canaan will have an opportunity for revenge, but better yet, Ridgefield will have an opportunity to win both the FCIAC and state championship. Before we go here on NCTV, we want to thank everyone who's involved with this broadcast, who's involved with both the semifinals too as well. Our director, Emily Fox, our graphics guy, Griffin Banks, camera Charlie Imbrogno, Keith Davey, and Vivian Pawari, our advisor, Roman Sobolski. Special thanks to Bobby Rushton, Jay Egan, and Dave Schultz. And we're going to send it down to the field to celebrate the 2025 FCIAC champions. Myself, John Frieders, Tommy Fox, PJ Neville. That'll be it. We'll send you down for the ceremony, and then 2 sponsors.
Present the runner-up award to a wonderful champion themselves, the Canaan High School Rams. Please come forward. Let's have a nice round of applause for this year's runner-up, the Canaan High School Rams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner Schultz will present the 2025 FCIAC Boys Tournament Lacrosse Championship Award to the Ridgefield High School Tigers. Let's hear it for the Ridgefield High School Tigers 2025 Boys Lacrosse Champions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll direct your attention for one final award, this year's Most Valuable Player Award for our tournament is from Ridgefield High School, number 4, senior Brandon Penn, MVP. Congratulations, Brandon. On behalf of the FCIAC, we want to thank Commissioner Schultz and Athletic Director at Wilton High School, Bobby Rushton, and his team for providing us with yet another wonderful tournament. Congratulations to the Tigers. Thank you all for joining us for this tournament. Arrive home safely and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Congratulations.
And that will do it. The Ridgefield Tigers are your 2025 FCIAC champions. 2nd title in program history. The MVP, number 4, Brandon Penn, senior, who dominated the face-off game here today against JT O'Neill and really led his team to victory. And before we go, we want to thank everyone again who was involved in the broadcast, but especially you guys. Thank you guys for watching this entire tournament, both semifinals and the championship here tonight, streamed on NCTV 78. If you like what you saw, drop a subscription. You can see all New Canaan athletics. And Ridgefield fans, when New Canaan and Ridgefield square off against each other, you can find the action all here on NCTV 78. See the Tigers celebrating. They are #1 in the FCIAC. Good night, and thank you for watching.
And gold sponsors. We would like to thank our platinum sponsor, Quest Builders Group, a general contracting, construction management, and consulting company who proudly supports all of our high school athletes. We would like to thank our platinum sponsor, Dr. William Fessler of Fessler Family Dentistry, the dental office for your entire family's dental needs. At William Fessler Family Dentistry, smile, you're in good hands. We thank platinum sponsor, Frangione Engineering. Planning on putting in a pool or an addition onto your house? Are you having drainage issues on your property? Frangione Engineering can help you find a solution. Platinum sponsors and NCHS alumni Leo and Steve Carl of Carl Chevrolet, who've been proud supporters of local athletic programs for generations. Their dealership has been serving Fairfield County since 1927. Their team is ready to assist with all of your automotive needs. We thank platinum sponsor Manfredi Jewels. Manfredi Jewels, your local official Rolex jeweler, is excited to continue carrying the finest jewelry and watch brands, and welcome the New Canaan community into their newly renovated store this fall. Go Rams! Platinum sponsor Renaissance Partners, a family-owned and New Canaan-based residential building and remodeling company serving all of Fairfield County. We thank platinum sponsor Walter Stewart's. Walter Stewart's Market has supported NC Rams athletics and the entire New Canaan community for years. Walter Stewart's is your fresh local market. We also thank our platinum sponsor Hoyt Livery for 30+ years of service. We'd like to thank our gold sponsor Anderson Kenny Architecture, a full-service practice that encompasses a range of commissioned residential and commercial projects. Each project is a thoughtful collaboration tailored for clients and their needs. The outcome is highly personal, constructed with intention and integrity. We thank another gold sponsor, Club Sandwich, a family-owned deli right here in town serving the New Canaan community since 1986. They are a proud sponsor of the New Canaan community and all of our sports teams. And we thank NC Graphics LLC, a gold sponsor who is a constant supporter of the NCHS Booster Club. They are a custom graphics company located right here